listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back. You're watching USA Global TV and listening in on Business Talk Radio. Our show today is A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I have hand-selected a team of people from across the world who are the best in their field. They are true experts and leaders who have one thing in common. They really care about other people. They really care about helping people, helping us all to be better, helping to make this world a better place. Let me bring our two expert presenters out today. We've got Mr. Red O'Loughlin and we've got Mike Boissonneault. Hi, guys.
How are you, Dr.
Howdy.
J? Good to see you, Red.
Good
Likewise,
to see
Mike.
the two of you. I know this is going to be a great show because you two are always sharing content that's so relevant and important for us to know and be aware of. So I'm going to spotlight each of you, and I'd like you to share a little bit about what you do, who you help, and what you're going to be speaking on today. I'll start with you, Red.
Hi, Red O'Loughlin. I'm a writer, speaker, publisher, and what I provide is information at the cellular level of the body. I research down at that level, trying to find cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, you fix a problem. Treat a symptom, you'll always keep treating symptoms. So when I'm providing information, it's stuff that I've researched. My background in chemistry is what I use to go down and dig into the molecular world to say, what causes this? Well, what can stop that from happening? So that's the kind of information I give out that I hope that somebody can use, take to their doctor and says, hey, I read this, or I heard this, or I saw this, or I have a copy of this, and what can you say? What can you do to help me? And so if that happens, I am a super happy person. Other than that, like I say, I speak all the time right here on this show. I write daily, 582 days in a row, I think right now. I got almost 850 original content articles on LinkedIn. I publish books, most of the time for new authors. So if you have any questions at all regarding book writing, book publishing, more than happy to answer those questions for you. Take it away, Dr. Jacalyn.
And of course, Red, as we know, you were the gentleman I worked with to get my book published and have it become a #1 bestseller in less than 2 weeks. And I'm just going to bring up a picture of that. Behind the Green Screens, How to Succeed in the Live Broadcasting Business. And you're also working with me on the second and third book, which the second book is just about finished, Behind the Mask, Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. And the third one, Behind the Tattoo, It's More Than Skin Deep. And we're looking for some other people to share their stories of how and why they have their tattoo. So Red can help you as well. All right, on to you, Mike. Please share with us the work that you do, the people you help, and what you'll be talking about today.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, and thank you very much for having me on again today. It's great to see you, and it's great to see Red. I've been in media for over 40 years. I've been in sports media, primarily ESPN, for almost 36 years. And in there, we were known as pioneers. We helped to create undoubtedly probably the most profitable and valuable sports entity on the planet. And in that time, production and operations and different things, I actually had some very valuable time in it when I was at ESPN in the HR division. And being a Disney entity as well, as I learned quite a bit about the HR skill set. And I wrote a book. I'm also an author, and I wrote a book called Soft Skills and Leadership, HR Insight for Managers. I have a penchant for helping business leaders, whether they're in a very small, a mid-sized, or even a large company, to understand how to get the most out of their own value. And created a media company after I retired called Rewirement Media. And we do business as Ali Plus TV, a life ever evolving. We target 50 plus with entertainment, lifestyle, and great overall content. And most recently, started a company with a friend of mine. We're an outsourced service delivery company called Cornerstone Solutions, where again we help businesses to do what they do best, do what they do where they're specialized, so that we can help them in the transferable areas of administration and some HR servicing, project management, and building management, and so on. Today, I'll be talking specifically about fundraising for a company, some of the strengths and weaknesses in the decision, and we are going to hone in on one particular form of fundraising, which is hosting a golf tournament. So I look forward to that.
I am so excited for both of these presentations. I can't wait. So let me just share with our audience what's going to happen. I'm going to take us to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Mike is going to go first, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Mike will have 15 minutes or so to present his information. Red and I will be backstage watching and listening, taking notes. Then we'll come back and have a debrief with Mike. We'll go to a commercial break, and then Red will present, and then Mike and I will debrief with Red. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, fantastic. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break from our sponsors.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back. That's a catchy tune, I have to say, if I say so myself. You are watching. Woo! You're watching USA Global TV, and if you're listening, it's on Business Talk Radio. And we're so glad that you're here for our program, A Better You, with 2 of our team of experts, Red and Mike. By the way, I went over on LinkedIn. I saw Red wrote an article about herd immunity and the Delta variant, so I'm going to share that with our network. Well done, Red.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, Red, let's get backstage and let Mike do his presentation. Mike, do you want the timer?
Yeah. If you want to put the timer up there, go ahead. I'll try to stay right on time.
Fantastic. Here you go.
And thank you once again, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me on. Again, my name is Mike Boissonneault, and I have been in media for about 40 years. And through the time, I've loved my opportunity as a leadership trainer and as a business consultant, and even writing the book about HR skills for non-HR managers. But the one thing that I really enjoy, and that I found out throughout this process that I really enjoy, is fundraising. And fundraising comes in many different ways. There are many ways to raise money as a business. You may think of it as a family, and families get together to raise money for certain things, or want to make donations or contributions. But there are many ways to team build around this because there could be a cause. And if there's a worthy enough cause for your business, then there's a worthy enough opportunity. Make the effort and consider fundraising. It could be to build and repair homes. It could be a walk, a 5K run, a carnival, cocktail receptions, and so on. But one of the most enjoyable, yet one of the most complex, is running a golf tournament. And you may not understand until you see some of the little intricacies that go along with it. So there is an impact. Whatever you're doing for fundraising will have an impact. So consider everything that you do and everything you do as a company, and think of the impact and what the awareness would be. The awareness is going to be for your staff, for your clients, for your vendors, for the people that you serve in the community. If you have something, who will benefit from it, who will benefit from the experience of going through it, and the joy and the opportunity to do the fundraising through it. So there is an awareness. There's also a community outreach. What will be the reason for your fundraising? What would be the reason for having a golf tournament? If you're having a golf tournament, is there someone in the community, or something, or some company in the community, some organization that will benefit directly from proceeds? Inclusivity is a very important term, and it's a very important opportunity, because you want to make sure that if you're a company, small, mid or large size, that you want to be inclusive. You want to make sure that everyone, whether they're a golfer or a non-golfer, and it's very important that you can have golfers who golf regularly, or you could have golfers who or employees who rarely or never golf. They can all be included in this, because there's organization involved and you are supporting a cause. And it's very important for everyone to feel like they can be part of that mission. Your mission is to not only support the cause, but have fun in doing that. Internally, there's a lot of information that's going to be passed around, but you want to make sure that you're in the internal relations and the communication and the mission that's accomplished throughout this, that there is a good opportunity for those who are internally in your company to have a good opportunity to bond together and create the experience. So there is an impact to your staff, to your community, and of course to the benefactor. So the decision to golf is what's next. You've made a decision to golf. Why? You made a decision to golf because it's a great way to come together, to get some exercise, to get outdoors, and to provide a team. So you pick a team that's going to be successful together, that can work together. You want a team that's going to include all from all different areas of your company, if possible. And you want a team that has at least a couple of players on the team who have done this before, because it's going to take some good organization. The good organization that it takes to run a golf tournament is to put together the different elements of what it takes to proceed with it, for everything from registration through finishing up on the course. Make sure that your goals are clear. Your goals are the first goal should be, at the end of the day, at the end of the tournament, who is going to be the benefactor, who's going to be the one who's going to get the proceeds. And it could be more than one, but there should be a goal, and there should be a goal of raising money for a legitimate reason, and you're doing it through the great game of golf. So one of the first decisions you're going to make as a team and as an organization is to pick a location. It may seem very easy. Oh, we'd like to make it a destination. Well, that's going to be pretty difficult because not everyone can fly together. Not everyone can travel together. So that location should be something that has a local or concentric route for people to get to. People have to work, or maybe they can't get the full day off. Whatever that may be, the location is an important piece to consider. There are a lot of factors that go into it. I'm going to hit a lot of these subjects and some of these as an outline, and not go too deep into the minutia of the decision. But that location is very important. You don't want a course that's too tough. You don't want a course that's too easy. You want a course that you know that people can get to, can get in and out of in the right, without a lot of burden to their day or to their time and effort, especially your team, which is going to put in more hours and more effort to make this thing work. The most important part of that location could be the golf professionals that you work with. The pro and the staff at the particular course is going to be your partner. They've done this before. They do this all the time. They are very well organized, very well educated and experienced in running a tournament. Therefore, rely on them. Talk to them. Let them help to guide you. But still, make sure that your message and your mission is clearly accomplished throughout this. But your golf professional partners, they're going to understand not only how to play the game of golf, how to keep the pace of play up. They will also have all your answers to how can we make sure that we are equivalent? How can we make sure that the groups are not held up on certain ends of the course, that we can make sure that everybody has a good understanding of what to do. They will guide you through it. Golf is a game. Golf is a map. Think of a golf course as a roadmap. It's a very, very important that you get a good golf professional to partner with you, and that staff is attentive to you. They know that sometimes you've never done this before, but they also know when you've done it many times. Either way, a good pro and a good staff is going to come out and help you. And then what are your fundraising options? What do you have once you've understood that the golf has a price? Food and beverage has a price. Once you've figured out, is there a margin in the registration cost for it? What can we do to raise money through the game of golf? Many times it's actually at a post party or a barbecue or a banquet afterward, where you might have a raffle, a silent auction, a 50-50 raffle, or some other way for you to help sponsors, tea sponsors, other ways that you can raise money. Get them all out on the table, have a good decision, figure out how do you want to go about soliciting for it, whether it's through your vendors, through your community, through the people, the clients that you do business with, and so on. But you want to engage your staff, and you want to start to delegate. It's a very important piece once you have that decision. Now you're going to think about the early steps in gaining some momentum while you plan, because the day of the tournament, and while the tournament is about to happen, things will happen very fast. Things will start to think like, oh, things are getting out of control because it's, things are happening that you don't have much control of. But if you're well organized, you should. So you're going to create timelines from the decision to golf to the day of golf. Everything will have timelines when to prepare, execute, and follow up. Checklists are very important. Checklists who has what to manage on their watch, what part of your team and who on your team is going to be paying attention to certain things that are going to be happening the day of, and that, whether it's the week of or weeks leading up to it, the day of, and throughout the tournament. You want to make sure that things are not only checked off, but understood. And of course, you're going to set budgets. Everything costs, whether it's buying something or putting money out there or selling something the day of or selling raffle tickets. And you might think, oh, it's great. We'll buy a $5, roll of raffle tickets, and we've got all of our raffle items ready, and people start to buy, but people are going to come up to you and they're going to have a $50 bill or a $20 bill or a $10 bill. How much are you spending and how much change do you need? Your budget should also include workday change. It's like opening a cash register at your local business. Every day you start with a certain amount of cash on hand to make change. Make sure that your budgets include, and then make sure that as you reconcile your budgets later, that you consider everything that you've done so that you don't end up in the red. Communication is a very important step leading up to, day of, and the post. It's very important who you're communicating to, how much information should go out to what part of your audience, what part of your team, or what part of your participants will get what part of your communication. It's a very time-proven strategy to give a little bit of information up front and build to an expectation of success. Save the date is an important email to send out there with a little information. Get people to start talking about things, making sure that they've got their days off, that they've got their babysitters, that they've got their routes of transportation, whatever that may mean, their practice rounds in, to make sure that the communication builds up to a great and successful event. And of course, you're going to lead to a registration. Registration for a golf tournament is very important. You want to make sure that people want to know where they're starting, who they're with, how much have they paid day of or previous. How do you know when your bills are due? Are you paying the bills that day, but you're taking checks at the course? Will you have to write a check at the course and cover what may take 3 to 5 days to clear in your own bank? There's a lot of ways that you need to understand a little bit more about the registration process. And that registration process has to have a deadline to give you the time to organize it, understand it, and then there's many ways to create the registration grids so that when people come up, you can find them easily, understand how to check them in. That deadline's important. Many tournaments give you a 2-week deadline. Get those names in, so only the exceptions are allowed in after that, and that will help you in a long way. And of course, memorabilia. How will people remember the tournament? Many of them will remember it through the giveaways. Many of them will remember that from not only what they won as a takeaway, but also the giveaways. What are they getting for the registration to golf? Are they getting something that is of souvenir value, something with sentimental value, something with corporate branding value? There's quite a array out there. And there are good companies out there to research and identify who can help you to make that a special gift that only those that played that day will have that gift. That piece of memorabilia is a very important piece for many of those golfers. And of course, you want to manage everything closely. All of the events that we've discussed so far, all of the points need to manage. You need to manage those expectations. You've got people on your team that you've delegated the role. Now you're going to delegate the responsibility, and that responsibility is to manage it. Have the conversations early and often, early as you can, so that you understand the expectations. So when they come back with questions, those questions are meaningful. You want to make sure that you manage the forecast. And when I say the forecast, it's not only the budget and the money, it's also the weather. The weather will always play tricks with you when it comes to golf. People will always ask you, what about rain? What about rain? What about rain? Well, there's a lot about rain that you need to know, but golfers will play in the rain. It's very seldom that a golf tournament is postponed or canceled, and you should always consider that you're going to do this once. And what if the forecast should not comply with your day? That's something that we can talk about in the future. The roles and the backups. Everyone's going to have a role and a backup on your team. So manage those roles and those backups. Those that are managing some of your process will also be players. So once they've registered and once their role is done, they're now out on the course playing, And after they come back in, what is their role? Is there a second role? Is there a role with the raffle? Is there a role with something else in your tournament? Make sure everyone understands their roles and their backups. And of course, I just explained the what ifs. What if it rains? What if it lightnings? What if the course is closed? What if something happens? What if it's too windy? What if it's a lot of things? You want to make sure that you've identified those frequently asked questions, which usually start with what if, because the communication to your people, to your players, to your staff, to the course is always streamlined, and there's not a lot of question involved. There's a lot of statement involved. You want once you start that communication process, there should be a good cadence of communication, and you should have a very streamlined. And of course, accountability. A lot of money is raised at golf tournaments. A lot of that money pays for the expense of the golf tournament. Make sure that you're accounting for it in the right way. People will undoubtedly say, I want to pay for registration, so I want to pay for mine, and I want to pay for two in my group, and I want to add some raffle tickets, and I want to add something else. Now you're going to have a figure that doesn't jive on a check with anything that you've set up before. You want to make sure that you could break it down. There's ways to mark up sheets and break down the money that comes in, so you know later exactly how much was made by this, that, or another event, or a device that you use to raise more money on the course or afterward. So everybody understands where the money came from, what was successful, what you can repeat in the next time. And of course, all that comes through with the follow-up. The follow-up is so important to people to know that what they did, how they spent their day, and what they put in as a resource, money, time, effort, community, friendship, on the golf course, was met with a tremendous opportunity to pay a charity, a benefactor in the community, and that follow-up is very important for people to know it was all worth it. So that's a very fast, very high-level view of many of the items to consider when running a golf tournament for a company. And every one of those you can go a lot deeper in, and a lot of decisions are made around those topics. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you, and I am ready to come back to the studio and take your questions.
Excellent.
A lot of information to go through quickly, but each one of those, like I said, has a very deep meaning and a lot more opportunity to expound upon them.
Very well done. Thank you, Mike. And I have a lot of questions. We don't have time for all of them, but one that I have is I do a lot of fundraising for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and it's hard to raise money, right, at year in and year out, because everybody has their own charities and things that are important to them. So my question is, in general, is there some type of rule of thumb or average that when you have an event like this, typically you're going to be able to cover the cost of the event and then have X amount percentage dollars, something left over that goes to the charities? Or any research on that?
There's usually a formula that I've kind of figured out over the years. We had a friends and family tournament that we ran, that I personally ran for 30 years, and in that time, we generally said about 50% of what you raise is going into the golf course itself, and probably one meal. So if you're going to do a golf tournament where there's lunch when you make the turn, maybe there's a grill and you're putting hot dogs, hamburgers, sandwiches onto your cart, and you're continuing on. Usually that amount plus your golf is about 50% of what your golf tournament should cost. If it's a little bit more, if you're going to do another meal, typically a post round meal, it's going to be a little bit more. So you're really looking at about a 20% leftover fee in a normal golf that will typically go split between a giveaway and your charity, to make sure that there is at least something from that registration that is also going toward the charity, because you can't count on 100% participation, even though you'd like it, in the raffles or some other elements. And there are other elements that you can. We've played poker through the golf course. We've done opportunities to sell mulligans, which is really authorized cheating on the course, but it's so popular with golfers who can do do-overs, because that's all profit. That's all money going in. So you want to make sure that your margin can increase by adding, because some players will think, well, I'm not really that good, so I'm going to be paying a lot of money, but I'm not going to be in the prize money. But you want to make sure that everyone is feeling like they are accomplishing as well as contributing. So I think from a just a cost standpoint, if 50% of what you raising from registration is covering the one meal and golf and the car and the golf course management, then you're on the right track, because you can add more and then a giveaway or more giveaways, or then you go out to the community or to your golfers themselves to maybe make some donations, and now you've raised more money to do more for the golfers, but keeping like an 80-20 split at that point back to the charity.
Wow, there's a lot that goes into that.
There is, and
I'm
I say
sure
it because I'm sorry, I say it because I'm very experienced in it. There's a lot of ways to run it, and the higher you get, there's tournaments that may cost thousands to enter, and there are tournaments that are costing $100 to enter, but they should be the same experience based on the field of golfers.
Thank you so much. Red, are you a golfer?
I am. I don't play as often as I'd like, but yes, I do enjoy it tremendously.
Yeah, it's a great
Fantastic.
game. It's a great. They say it's a great game that evens out the scale in life. The handicap in golf helps everyone to play against each other, and they play against their own skill, not the others.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't golfed. I didn't golf last year at all, and I haven't golfed this year, but I did really enjoy it when I was golfing. And some people in my family would say, if you would ask, does Dr. Jacalyn golf, they would immediately say, no, she doesn't, because they don't consider my level of play actually golfing.
We have one daughter, and she learned to golf when she was about 5. She would come out with me to the driving range, and she became a very, very, very good and accomplished golfer. So much fun to play, golf with someone like that in the family, and our whole family is, really gets behind it. So.
That's wonderful. We do have a comment, and then I want to hear from Red. Good stuff. So somebody's in a private Facebook group, so I don't know who it is, but very nice. Thank you. Red, what feedback do you have for Mike?
You could tell immediately that he has the experience, the knowledge. Very comfortable, calm, clear speaker, good pace, good transitions. I liked his part there about the awareness that becomes education and where you fit into the mission, that everything is there. A great presentation on process, how to do something. Very, very good professorial style that he uses along with the slides. Just the bare minimums you need to keep track of as you're going down. I love that on slides. They're not busy. Kept the interest. We kept moving. We now know how to define success. We know that path. And we also know that just because this was a golf tournament doesn't mean this path can't be used for any other kind of project, because the things they covered are needed all the way in these other ones too. Plus or minus, location may not be an issue or the golf staff, but there may be other things with the convention site or something else that may be there. So I think what he did was a very, very valuable lesson, using golf as the medium to get it across.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster. I always appreciate your feedback. All right, we're going to take a commercial break, and then Red will be presenting. So stay with us here on USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
When all my broken sneakers started to pile up in the wardrobe, I realized that we have a problem. Sneakers are made from plastics, and plastic is not mendable. My name is Philip, and I'm one of the founders of Our Choice Fashion. How many times did this happen to you? How can eco sneakers save the world when they break after only a few months and we have to buy pair after pair that breaks? We are here to give you the solution, a choice for truly sustainable fashion in the world's first circular sneakers. On average, we all buy 3 pairs of sneakers each and every year. This adds up to 25 billion sneakers per year, of which most end up in landfills. This adds up to 350 million tons of CO2 emissions, the same amount as for the country of Italy or the state of California. So we started to develop a product that would have all the old-fashioned qualities. It is mendable, it has a classic design, and it has a natural comfort. Because we chose the best designer there is, Mother Nature. The sneakers get more and more comfortable the more you wear them. Made from vegetable tan leather and natural latex from the rubber tree, the sneakers are both sustainable and comfortable. These sneakers are made from pure raw materials that are both fully biodegradable and fully recyclable. The best thing here really is that when your sneakers need an upgrade, you just send them right back to us using the same bag that you got them delivered in. We then resole your sneakers, put on a fresh pair of laces, and give them a nice new polish. This means that you can wear your sneakers for many years to come. Our sneakers are more than sneakers. They are a circular function, and we developed a smart pull for you to step into your sneakers without stepping down the heel. This means that you get a truly sustainable grip. We've got a fully circular business model, and that's why we'll only produce sneakers on your demand. Book your product now and get that sustainable grip at a discount. We've been on this amazing journey for 2 years, and now we're inviting you to also make a choice for truly sustainable fashion. Try the world's first circular sneakers, 100% plastic free, and I can promise you that our choice will be your companion for many years to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello, hello, and welcome back yet again. You are watching USA Global TV and listening to Business Talk Radio. Our show is A Better You, lessons from the best coaches and consultants, trusted advisors. In our first segment, Mike walked us through how to plan a golf outing for charity, but it's actually a model that can be used for many other things. If you happen to miss his segment, please continue watching as represents, and then go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and watch the show from the beginning. Mr. Laughlin, are you ready to start?
Absolutely.
All right, I already knew that. Mike, let's go. We'll be back
soon. Give me the timer also, so I have that in my view. Appreciate that.
All right,
too.
Here you go.
Thank you. Hi, Red here. I started last week with a series on Alzheimer's. I talked my first one about inflammation. As soon as that was over, I went ahead and wrote a blog. So if you need to catch up on it, it's on my website, redolaughlin.com. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't work in the field. I'm not don't work for pharmacy or anything. I have a number of degrees, one being chemistry. A long time ago, I used to ask people, do you remember your first love? And I get all sorts of snickers, but my first love was chemistry, and I still love it today. I research primarily the human body at the cellular level. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat it something, you'll always be doing it. So I provide education, awareness of things that are going on. I have a couple books that I've written in that field. My area is longevity. I have how to live to 100 years of age with the body of a healthy 50-year-old, the mind of a 25-year-old. So Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging has a section in there on brain health, which I highly recommend. Another one I have is The Joy of Ageless Health, which is my best-selling book on Amazon, How to Be Healthy, Vibrant, and Active as You Age. And there's a lot of issues in here that I'll be touching on very, very briefly today. But what is Alzheimer's? It's a progressive mental disease that destroys memory and other cognitive and mental functions. The neurons at the end of our cell connections where the communication happens in the brain degenerate and die. We usually start lightly with losing track of things in our brain, but the symptoms vary over time. They get worse. Eventually you end up with impaired reasoning, judgment, and there's no cure for it right now. Now, if you look it up on Google and say, hey, Dr. Google, what causes Alzheimer's? 99 times out of 100, you're going to get, well, it's thought to be caused by beta amyloid plaque buildups and tau protein tangles in the brain. My research shows a lot more than that. And it all starts with inflammation. I covered that last week. I'll be talking a little bit about today. But oxidative stress is the follow on to the inflammatory phase. You got the beta amyloid proteins I talked about briefly. You got the tau proteins. There's an acetylcholine chemical in the brain that when there's an imbalance there, it leads to other factors that can cause it. The toxins, excitotoxicity is a major issue in the brain. But oxidative stress happens when the inflammation is not under control. You end up now with more free radical damage causing oxidative stress because you don't have enough antioxidants in the body. These lead to DNA mutations, damage to cells, tissues, and things like that. Part of it's naturally occurring because that's the way we age. In the chronic low-level cellular inflammation, our bodies need oxygen and glucose to make what's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It's the source of energy for our bodies. But if you look at the inflammation, the foods we eat that we bring in the antioxidants, it kills off that inflammatory flame. If you think about the old game of tug of war, when we're sitting there pulling against a team of people on the other side, you go back and forth, and sometimes you get over the limit wherever it is. Well, that's what's happening with oxidative stress. The inflammatory process in the body is so strong that it's actually pulling everything across the line, and you don't want to be losing those people to whatever ditch or there is in the middle. Mike mentioned a very short while ago about having adequate cash reserves to handle whatever was going on. It got me to thinking, well, the same thing happens in the brain. If we don't have enough antioxidants, we're going in the red, and when we go in the red, we have problems. But that free radical that ends up essentially going around looking for another molecule, it's a molecule that should have two pairs of electrons, and when one of them's missing, it's going to reach out there and grab the nearest one it can find. And when it does that, the one that was there to begin with, who has only had one, now has two, is stable, and the one it ripped it off of is now a free radical. And they're generally divided into oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen kinds of superoxide or hydroxyls or nitric oxide. But these things are all different kinds, shapes, flavors, sizes. So one antioxidant doesn't necessarily control everything out there. But as you're looking at these things, there are things that we can do. And when you look at, okay, our body's just breathing, thinking, being in existence, are creating free radicals. The foods we eat, if there's pesticides, artificial flavors, color, whatever it may happen to be, hormones, and all those things create problems in the body. Toxins, especially from personal care products, more so than anything else. Exercise, a great source of free radicals. So there's just a lot of things out there in our lifestyle. You know, the pollution, radiation, gluten, sugar. All these things are issues, and we have control over most of them. We really do. Antioxidants are the way we fight it. And if you're not taking in an adequate level of antioxidants, whether it be from the food we eat or supplements that you take, now you're starting to have a problem with not having enough men on your tug of war team to pull back and regain control. So that imbalance is something that happens, and when it happens and stays out of balance, then you have oxidative stress. That's when damage starts to occur. And in the brain, when we really start having that problem over time, oh, those little gray cells up there, that's the problem. Those gray cells start turning black, and then they're no longer of any use to us. So we want to have antioxidants through our foods, our minerals and vitamins and everything like that. That way, those antioxidants can actually donate an electron to the molecule that doesn't have one and not become a free radical itself. And there's quite a few of them out there. I think there's over 30 nutrients our body needs on a daily basis. And if we get that nutritional balance, we generally do not have any problem at all. Our immune systems are humming along. We don't have any problem with infections. We just are really, really good. And with inflammation, there's a simple blood test called CRP, C-reactive protein. And that CRP, one test can tell you how your body is doing. And so you go down there, you get a blood test, doctor comes back and says, oh, you got whatever. Well, you want to be as close to zero or as close to unmeasurable as possible. That will tell you how much inflammation your body has, C-reactive protein, CRP. If you do get a high number, it won't tell you where. Now your doctor knows you have a problem and can start looking for something. But if you're down there, I think my last one was like 0.25, very, very low. I've had several that they couldn't measure at all. But you're keeping it down low, you're not allowing any chronic low-level inflammation to get up into the oxidative stress level that now we start having cellular or tissue damage, DNA mutation. Now we can control things. Antioxidants come from a number of sources. Berries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, cherries, a lot of berries, potent antioxidants. Your vitamins, your A, C, D, E. Now on E, there's 8 different kinds of vitamin E, 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols. And in the brain, I believe it's the alpha tocotrienol. If you have literally almost nothing, but it's measurable, you probably recover from a stroke without any side effects. It's that potent an antioxidant. I happen to be very keen on some other ones that are in there, and I'll talk about that in a second. But as you try to balance that imbalance of oxidative stress, we need to realize that when left unchecked for a long period of time, and that could be through lack of exercise, lack of stress management, poor dietary choices, overabuse of alcohol, smoking. I mean, there's lots of different things in there that can cook. Now we start having a problem, and that can lead to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, arthritis, cancer, stroke, and many neurodegenerative diseases, of which Alzheimer's is one. Parkinson's is another one that's also very, very closely tied in there. The brain uses about 20%. I mean, we take the oxygen into our lungs, gets into our bloodstream, but the brain, that small area at the top of your head, actually uses about 20% of the oxygen to make everything work in the brain. And then just in the process of just doing brain metabolism, free radicals are there. And so you need some antioxidants that actually pass through what's called the blood-brain barrier. If you think of it as a screen door, well, smoke can get through a screen door, but we humans can't walk through a screen door without ripping the screen door apart. But that's there for a reason, to protect the brain. Well, several things can actually protect the brain very, very nicely and pass through that blood-brain barrier. One of the ones that I love to talk about is PQQ, and you can look up PQQ, pyrroloquinolinquinone. It's a powerful antioxidant. I think it's the master, but they think glutathione is the so-called master antioxidant. But the thing I love about PQQ, and it comes from parsley and green bell peppers and stuff, is it can be regenerated. So long as there's glutathione in the brain, it can be so you get one molecule, can be 2, can be 3, can be 4. It can be used 25,000 times before it's used up. So you get one molecule, it's an army of 25,000 molecules. And that is a potent antioxidant for the brain. Vitamin C can be reused maybe up to 6 times. But there's a lot of things we can do. I talked about balanced nutrition. We want to limit as much as possible toxins. And a lot of those come from the foods, but probably more come from our personal care products than anything else. Stress management, something that we all collect stress on a daily basis, but how many of us actually manage to get rid of it? Cut back on sugar, cut back on gluten, and cut back on dairy sometimes. If you have a gluten intolerance or sensitivity, you probably have a dairy intolerance, because casein is a molecule that's a mirror image of gluten. And so if you generally have a gluten issue, you probably also have a dairy issue. Now, glutathione is what they call a master antioxidant, but it needs sulfur. And we get that from cruciferous vegetables, our asparagus and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, onions, garlic, kale, spinach, lots of them. So you get that sulfur put back in the body. Now your body can make the glutathione it needs. And if you're there with everything else, you're in really, really good shape. There's some supplements, N-acetylcysteine, NAC, exceptionally good antioxidant. Methylfolate, part of B9. B9 is, you hear about folic acid, it's actually a synthetic made from that, but methylfolate is the one that you really need to find. B12 is a cobalamin. If you have a deficiency in B12 for a long enough period of time, you're going to have something that mimics Alzheimer's. Now, you're taking the right B12 if it goes under the tongue and dissolves. If you're taking it just as another part of the pill, it cannot survive stomach acid. Selenium, SAMe, that's your adenosole methionine, if I remember right. Alpha lipoic acid, CoQ10, as I mentioned earlier, PQQ, curcumin. Now, curcumin along with resveratrol both work very, very well. Fantastic anti-inflammatories, great for antioxidants. However, they don't go into the body, cells, tissues very easily. They're not very bioavailable to the body. So you need what's called black pepper extract, piperine. So if you're buying it, look at the label, and if it says turmeric, curcumin, if it doesn't contain piperine, don't buy it. Get the one that has piperine, because that's going to make it about 2,000 times more bioavailable to the body. You're actually getting your money's worth. Grapeseed extract. There's just a lot of things out there. These are things you can Google, antioxidants, food, whatever it may happen to be. But I'm just trying to make aware that, hey, there are things out there. Eat the right kinds of nutritious foods, exercise, the things that everybody tells you to be healthy. Do those things, and you'll probably end up avoiding a lot of diseases and hopefully a lot of neurodegenerative diseases. Back to you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Excellent, as always. Red, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but since I met you, I realized that I have a gluten and a dairy issue, and I've really changed my eating a lot because of the things that you share.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, what feedback do you have for Red?
Well, I have two questions. Can you just give me a little bit of insight when you say to avoid personal care products or personal care products that may be, can you just give a couple of examples of what and why they are something that you would avoid?
Okay. Anything you put on your body, whether it be a lotion, shampoo, underarm deodorant, whatever it may happen to be, something you put on your body generally has toxins and preservatives, colorings, artificial this, artificial that, something that makes it smell good. You take a look at that exact same product in Europe, they banned about 1,300 chemicals that the American industry keeps in the products. You go over there and you buy something and it may only have 5 things in it. You get that exact same product in the United States, and it's going to have 12, 15, 19 things in there. And that's what you want to look at is, do you really need it? I mean, I use coconut oil as an underarm deodorant. I use it for face. I use it for everything. I use it to eat, cook with it. But when you start introducing, because now you have that nanotechnology, it goes right straight through the skin. I mean, it didn't even pass go. It just goes right past it.
Yeah.
And so those are things that get into the body, and those toxins are what disrupts everything. They get stored, processed through the liver. Case a lot of issues with the liver, and then they get stored in the fat cells in the body because we're not really using them to get rid of it. Anyway, does that answer the question?
Absolutely. It absolutely opens my eyes to a lot of things. I've heard for years that sometimes certain soaps or deodorants may be very bad for you, and people don't realize sometimes that is maybe a catalyst in something that may prop up later. And the other thing I was
Sorry, can I just jump in for 1 second on that?
Sure.
So something that I think about all the time, and I'm not sure if it's chicken or the egg, but we're not supposed to be in the sun. And when you go in the sun, you're supposed to wear sunscreen. And the sunscreen, if you look at it's like, what is all this stuff? Like, words are like 25 letters. I have no idea. So what I started doing was just wearing long sleeves and a big hat. And then I'm thinking, I don't know if that helps anything. But to your point, even in makeup, like foundation, I look and it's like, what is all this stuff? There's nothing like that you can identify what it is. They're all chemicals. Yeah. So, Red, do you have any comments when it comes to protecting your skin? There's also spray that you can use, fake tan. Well, that's all chemicals too.
It's a double-edged sword. You need the sunshine. You really do. You need it on a lot of your body because that's where that interaction occurs. The sunlight penetrates the body. You get that precursor vitamin D. It goes to your liver. You need magnesium in the liver in order to process that thing into what they call 25 dihydroxy vitamin D. It goes into the kidneys. Again, you need magnesium. It processes it into what is the final active vitamin D, 1,25 hydroxy vitamin D. That's what you end up with. But when you start blocking the skin with all of these chemicals, you're not even allowing the sunshine to come in. Now you're relying everything on a vitamin D pill or something that's been fortified. But yes, anything you have that probably has 25 chemicals in there, there's a reason for them. Some of them work, but then all of a sudden, because they cake up or something, now you need an anti-caking. And because now they are not easily spread, now you need something that spreads more. I mean, there's one thing leads to having a problem. You fix that one, leads to another problem. And part of the main problem is there may be 4 or 5 toxins there. They don't test toxins when they're in combination with other things. And so that becomes the real detriment of the issue because, like ice cream, carrageenan is something I avoid, but it makes everything taste so, just like gluten makes everything taste so good. But when that carrageenan is in there, it's an issue that our bodies, it's a carcinogen. And it's just one of those things we should do our best to avoid. So if you're going to do something, as I said, avoid or minimize. If you're going to be out in the sun, I use coconut oil as a sunblock, but I'll put it on every 30 minutes. And I find in 3 hours, it does a pretty good job for me as a redhead. I may still end up with a very slight pink or something, but I don't end up peeling or anything else. It's actually a pretty decent sun preventer or whatever, sunblock. Anyway.
That's so interesting because I would think it was the opposite because it's oil that it's attracting the sun and you're going to get burnt. Interesting.
Well, on an oil, yes. But now, like zinc oxide, you used to see the people with the white noses way back when. Yeah. Well, that's just a block. But the sun preventives, that's the stuff that kind of cuts down that UVB rays getting into the skin to disrupt everything. And there's a lot, in fact, actually stuff you can actually take inside and the body will repel the UVB rays. There's just a lot of options you have there. Again, it's awareness and education.
All right, thank you. Mike, back to you.
Yeah. Just briefly, how does heredity play a part in this? Through passing generation to generation, some of the opportunity for your body to have the inflammation.
Okay, inflammation is really controlled by what we eat, our lifestyle. Heredity affects about 5% of us, whether you have a gene for Alzheimer's, a gene for breast cancer, or a gene for something else. But genes are controlled with basically your lifestyle. It's epigenetic. You flip a switch. If you're a smoker, you're overweight, obese, you don't exercise, you're stressed out, you're going to be flipping a switch in the direction you don't want that gene to operate. You're under control, you're fit, you eat properly, that gene is going to be turned off. So you control a lot of your genetic predispositions by your lifestyle.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. This is very informative. My next show starts in less than 2 minutes. So I'm going to spotlight each of you. Red, what's the best way for people to reach you and who should reach out to you?
RedOlaughlin.com. That's RedOlaughlin.com, 281-687-1188. Call me if you're interested in somebody to speak, if you're interested in talking about a book, you have a book you want to publish, I'm your one-stop shop to get all those answers. Red O'Laughlin. Thank you. Really appreciate it today, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Red. Mike, who should reach out to you? What's the best way to reach you?
I think the best way to reach me would be through LinkedIn. Mike, you can look me up, Mike Boissonneault, Rewirement Media, Mike Boissonneault, Ali Plus TV, or author. You'll find me on LinkedIn. And those that have content and a story to tell, we've got a newsletter and we've got content, and we've got television. So if you've got a story to tell, we want to hear about it, and hopefully we can do some work together.
Fantastic. I want to thank both of you for showing up big, huge, with really important lessons. So I thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, everyone. We'll see you again soon. We're coming right back with In the Name of Love with Kimmy Seltzer and our guest, Deborah Roth. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.